Hi, everybody. It's Shannon Wilkie with the Shine Advocacy Group. I'm an education advocate, and I'm really excited today to talk to someone who is just a kid with an IEP, Jordan Toma. Jordan was recommended to me by a client who has a teen son with an IEP, and I'm just a lady who sets up IEPs, so I was excited to talk to him. Jordan, tell us a little bit how you started your business.
So how you doing, everybody? So how I started my business was, I remembered how I felt when I was younger. And then I realized, hey, I got to be that person for who I was when I was younger. And that's really why I started. I'm just a kid with an IEP. So throughout school, I struggled a lot. I went to a lot of different schools. My mom was always fighting for me. My mom was always bringing me to different schools, trying to find the proper programs in place for me because I was struggling and I was getting into a lot of trouble. And I really wasn't finding my way. And every time I went to a new school, I would kind of lose who I am. I would fail. I would get kicked out, or I would get suspended, and I would kind of give up on myself every single time it would happen. And eventually, it just kind of grew roots into who I was, and I let that just dictate my whole future. And I went through school. I went to public school. I went to Catholic school. My parents also sent me to a private public Catholic school in high school. They said this was going to be a great place. There were going to be programs in place, but the problem was there was no real encouragement. They kind of just left me there, and no one really was there to catch me. There was no like, hey, I struggled in this class today, and there was nowhere to go where I struggled. So I was just lost in this big school, and I was in high school at this point, and I just I told my parents I can't go back. And I had a bad experience there, and I left, and I gave up, and then it was back to public school. And when I went to public school, everything that I did in my whole life for 13 years was just failing, and giving up on myself. At that point, I was exhausted and just gave up. And I remember going through high school, just sitting there, and I would be in the resource room, and there were good teachers in there, and they cared about me, but it's not like they didn't do their job. It's just I just didn't have anyone, and this is important, I think, for other teachers and parents here. No one was ever like, hey, no one like sat next to me and said, hey, Jordan, you can do this, other than my mom. And when you have kids, your mom tells you that, but it's just your mom. Like, it's your mom. So it's hard to really listen to your mom.
Yeah.
And my mom would always like tell me, like my mom would always be like, Jordan, I believe in you. You are smart, right? But it was my mom. But no one really just like looked at me and said, Jordan, you can do this. We're gonna sit here, and if you don't get this algebra formula right for 5 times, 6 times, 7, 10, we're not leaving until you get it right. And that's what I needed. I didn't have that, and no one really to give me that extra push because I had to hold myself accountable. But I needed someone to say, hey, Jordan, I'm holding you accountable, and you need to hold yourself accountable. I didn't have that push. All I had was, hey, you get in trouble, you go to the principal's office. Hey, you got in trouble, you get suspended. Hey, you're going to talk and act up in class, and you're not going to pay attention. You're talking, you got to leave the classroom. And I wasn't able to just kind of get a grip on who I was and how I learned. So I kind of flew through high school, and before you know it, it's time to graduate, and everyone's talking about college, right, and all these things. Yeah. And I was like, man, I remember going home to my mom saying, like, Mom, where am I going to go to college? She's like, yeah, you're going to go to college. And I was like, really? And I remember I took the SATs, and I don't even know my score to this day. My dad just told me it was very bad. I had a 1.7 GPA, and my mom was a big like fighter. My mom was like, hey, listen, my son's going to a 4-year college. Because my mom knew if I went to somewhere local or a county college, my mom knew who I was. Everyone's different. My mom knew for me, if I went to a local county college with the same people, the same programs, I was never going to make it because it was just going to be the same thing. And I was getting older, and I was making bad choices, and I could have led down to a bad road. And my mom said to the head of the child study team, I'm going to find a 4-year college, and I'm going to send him there. And she said to my mom, don't set yourself up for the heartbreak because he's not going to be able to do it. And my mom didn't believe her. And so we applied to 15 colleges, like all over the country, right? Yeah. And I have a twin brother, and my brother was getting into all these colleges, and I was just getting denied. That
must have been hard. Yeah.
It was hard. And like, you get an envelope, you're waiting to see it. And realistically, I just wanted to be accepted. I wanted to feel accepted by somebody more than just like, I wanted to feel accepted more than go to college, right? I just wanted to say, hey, I got in. I'm accepted. Someone wanted me, but then I wasn't going to go anyway because I was terrified.
Right.
So at the end of the day, my mom begged Centenary University to take me after denied from every school. I actually fought my mom on it, didn't want to go. I had anxiety. I didn't want to fail out of school again. I thought my mom was trying to ruin my summer because I had to go to a summer program. I thought she was ruining my life. And I fought my mom to the day they drove me there. I actually called the director and told him I wasn't coming,
Oh,
you
wow.
know, and it was a battle, but really I was scared, right? Because when you're younger, you have anxiety, you're nervous, you're angry, you're crying, you don't know. And it was a
Yeah,
scary thing for me.
defense mode. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, I was in defense mode, and I was like, I was fighting with my mom, and then I was angry at the school, and I kind of just like, I didn't want to go through it again. I didn't want to fail again. And when I went there, it was the first time in my life where people said, "Hey, Jordan, I believe in you." They brought up my gifts. They said, Jordan, you have gifts, right? They said, your gift is you have a high, I'll never forget that the social worker said to me, Jordan, you have a high EQ. I didn't know what that meant.
You
And she
do.
was like,
Yes.
you're good at connecting people. People like you naturally. Use that. You can use, and she built me up like from the inside. Before I talked about any type of schoolwork, she built me up like of who I actually was. And I remember like hearing that and going, all right, I feel good. I felt good about myself for the first time in my life. And that helped me apply myself. And then when I applied myself, I saw the return of, hey, I used my note taker. I used my test reader. I did all that. And then I just became this student that I never was before with these programs in place. And then that's when like the confidence was built, the self-belief was built, right? And all like, hey, I passed the test for the first time in my life in college. I was 18 years old. I never passed tests in my life, ever. And that was like, wait a minute, I'm a college kid now. Like I wanted to go home and like tell everybody
I
I'm in
bet that,
college.
I was gonna say that one's
Yeah.
probably on the fridge still. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think I really relate to that, and I see when parents get the diagnoses and all the different services their kids going to need, it's so hard for us and for my clients to not focus on that. And I always say find the gifts to every person out there, whether they have dyslexia, ADHD, or no learning differences, has strengths and weaknesses. And if we only focus on how to bring the things up and don't talk about the strengths, the child feels like they're broken and that they need to be fixed. And so
Right.
even if your mom sounds like a just incredibly strong advocate, what a cool lady, but kids also need someone at school who believes in them like you saw. And I'm so glad that you found it. I think I shared with you when we were talking prior to this, I used to manage a disability services team at a college. And I love that you found one that had a passionate person who connected with you and showed you, okay, here's all your gifts. And I think that my hope is for anyone watching this, no matter what age, if they're just getting an IEP when they're in first grade, or if they're just getting one, I've had seniors get an IEP, to know that these are just ways to learn. You may learn differently, but you just use the tools. You are still intelligent. Everyone has their gifts. And I notice a lot of strengths and a lot of kind of like a sixth sense with a lot of the students I work with, and that EQ, that emotional intelligence, that will get you far, as it has. So tell everybody, like fast forward, what are you doing now? Tell us a little bit about your very impressive portfolio and what you're doing now as an adult.
Yeah. So fast forward. So after college, I graduated college. I ended up graduating with a 3.3 instead of a 1.7 from high school. I Delta Alpha Pi. I actually spoke at the ceremony for the last couple of years, giving out the pins. So I graduated from Centenary with a 3.3. I actually got into Fordham University right after. I remember my dad saying to me, Jordan, are you sure you're going to apply to all these schools again? You didn't get in? I said, Dad, I'm getting in. And I applied to Fordham. I got into Fordham. I was going to get my MSW there, but I ended up going a different route. And then after college, I had like this momentum. Like I had this foundation of like self-belief. And I was like, all right, I just got through the hardest part of my life where I never thought I could get through. Like whatever's next, I'm going to do it. And it's not going to be as hard as school was for me, you know? And that's what I like to tell these kids. Hey, listen, your hardest part might be right here, this gap, like from like first to 12th grade through college. But after you get through this hard part, like all those gifts that you have, you're going to be on like you're going to have the foundation of the hard work, but then your gifts are going to shine through, and everything's going to be a lot easier because you're going to have that foundation of the work ethic. And I had that, but I didn't really get to use my gifts yet. So then right after college, I started selling windows, actually door to door. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I ended up selling the most window appointments every single week for the company, door to door. After I figured I was pretty good at that, I started selling insurance, and I built an insurance business up. I have over 3,000 clients. I'm a financial advisor. I passed all those insanely hard tests. all like 8 tests I had to pass to be a financial advisor.
Yeah.
I had to rewrite my notes over and over and over again. I studied for a year for one test. I failed 11,000 practice tests, but I just kept going. I passed that. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to be an insurance person forever. It's not who I am. You know, it's just what I'm doing right now, but it's not really who I am. And so I'm just a kid with an IEP. I actually came up with the name in college. I was at a child study team meeting, and I was talking to all the teachers locally from the area about Centenary and what their programs they have.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the child study team members from a local area, she said to me, hey, you know, how do you feel in college? Like, what's it feel like in college to have like a learning disability and have these accommodations around other students? You know, it was a good question to ask a college student. And I just looked at her. I said, I don't know. I'm just a kid with an IEP, you know? And everyone started laughing. And that's how it was kind of made, the name. And then I started doing speaking, and I created the speaking business. And now I travel to schools all over the country, to Canada. I'm heading to South Carolina on August 5th. To this school called Pace Academy. If you haven't checked it out, it's actually a pretty cool school. It's one of the moms, actually, her son needed, you know, kind of like you, she was fighting for her son to get the right accommodations, and they didn't have it, so she created a school.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
That's
so great. You're connecting with them.
Yeah, I'm going over there August 5th, and it's exciting. Then we got some stuff coming up in maybe Oklahoma and Texas coming up in the fall. We got a lot of stuff out there. We're just kind of getting it together. But now I'm traveling everywhere. Hopefully we're traveling again. I did a lot of virtual stuff, but I like being in person. It's more real. I like talking to the kids after. And yeah, it's more energy. It's more fun. We talk, we have fun. You know, there's no real time limit. And I'm also doing one-on-one coaching, right? And it's more for kids, you know, that maybe 13 and up in high school, and maybe transitioning from high school to college, or kind of doubting themselves. Maybe kids that are struggling and making bad choices because I made those choices. You know, maybe just because in high school and college, you can make bad choices, and you need to have someone there to, hey, you know what, that's not part of the goal, right? That's not going to help you get where you got to get.
It doesn't define you. I tell clients that all the time. Like, one choice or one decision does not define you. And like you said, it seems like your family and you had the belief in yourself. And then when the school team found it, I'm sorry, it was not until college. Then the sky's the limit. And as the word says behind you, you've got some grit because of it. And
that's right.
I'm so happy you're sharing with people. That's pretty cool that you're also doing private coaching. So if someone's watching this and they work at a school district, go to jordantoma.com. We'll post the link below. You can inquire about speaking engagements there. If you have a child who you think would benefit from a coach, all of us in the world of special education, we've been to therapist appointments, we've been to counseling appointments. This is different. This is someone who has been a child with an IEP. And obviously from talking to you, Jordan, you have a charisma about you. You do have a high EQ, that's for sure. That person was right. I can really see you being impactful on these kids' lives and making a big difference.
Right. And I think the most important thing too is, and, you know, you can relate to me with this, you know, really my message and the thing that I really want to get across for all these kids is, like, I want to give them hope, because a lot of them are hopeless. I was hopeless. You know, my mom, even though she was a fighter, she was hopeless. Like, a lot of people are hopeless because they're so worried. And I talk to a lot of parents and kids, and I can give them like that hope. Hey, listen, this is what I did. This is what I've been through, but I made it. And you're going to make it too. This is how you're going to do it. You know, when they have hope to hang on to, the message is way more than just words. You know, it's hope, it's a chance. And when you have that one chance, you know, you can do it, you know, and that's what we need to push, because we need to push them and remind them. And hearing it from someone that's been through, like you said, like, I'm not a therapist, you know, I guess you can call alternate therapy. I'm not a therapist at all, but I'm here to say, hey, you know, I'm going to help you get through it. I'm going to give you the mindset, but you're going to have to put the work in, right? Because it's got to come together. And when that comes together, you know, you're unstoppable. Yes,
and as you are. So I am older, and so I don't have a ton of social media, you know, experience. And I had been under the impression that TikTok was just for watching cats and dogs. And my son and I watched a lot of your TikTok last night, and there is a lot of content on there that really jazzed. I mean, he is a child with an IEP. It jazzed him up. He was captivated by it, and just like I could see his chest puff out a bit just from watching you. So anyone who hasn't followed, you are TikTok famous. I mean, you have hundreds of thousands of followers. So if you're not following Jordan on TikTok, you're under I'm Just a Kid with an IEP, correct?
That's it.
And,
Yep.
yep. And then your website, and you can check out the one-on-one coaching, opportunities for him to come out to your school district. You know, send his info over to your school. If you're a teacher, send it up to your admin, because I think any student would benefit from hearing your message, because all of us have strengths and all of us have weaknesses, not just kids with IEPs.
100%.
Yeah, I agree. Is there anything else you want to share with our audience before we pop your resources on and watch all your videos? They're very entertaining.
I'd say, I'd say to all the parents, right, that are listening, I say, don't give up hope. Don't give up. I think that's the hardest part, and I talk to a lot of parents, and even if you ask my mom, my mom still to this day will just scratch her head, and she can't believe, like, she's like, if anyone ever told me, and this is like for parents to really understand this, my mom says to me all the time, if someone had a crystal ball and said to me, one day Jordan's going to be doing this, this, and this, right, from where I was at, she never would have believed in a million years. But it's there with the proper encouragement, with the self-belief, with the reminders of their gifts, their strengths, all those things. And at the end of the day, as a parent, right, your kids might not seem like they're listening, but when I was in like these dark places and I was struggling and I was giving up, the only things I did really remember is my mom telling me these things, even though it was my mom, but the words and the encouragement were so like rooted into me that like when I was down and out, like I hung on to that because that was all I had. And you as a parent pushing and fighting, it's going to help them when they need it the most. So don't give up and keep pushing, and it will all work out. We just need to all come together. We need to build them up, believe in them, and everything will work out, and their true gifts will outshine everything.
I agree. Yep. That's why I named my company Shine. And I think that to always remember your kids hear everything. Like they can be, your house can be huge. They can be on the other side. They're in the neighbor's house. They still hear. So use verbiage that's carefully chosen. Don't just focus on the lagging skills because everyone's got them. Focus on their areas too, their good things. Tell them all the good you see. They need more praise because they have more correction at school. And it's more work to parent kids who have higher needs, but the reward as your mom and your family's feeling, I'm sure, is huge. And I hope my son feels the same way. That's a really good message. Parents, keep on advocating, keep on, your child best. If you think they need something at school, reach out to the team. Don't back down. You know your child best. Work together. And they may learn differently, but that is okay. We don't all need to learn the same. Nobody really does learn the same. They don't need to fit a mold. As I saw in one of Jordan's videos, if you need to do spelling words, jumping on a trampoline, so what? Still learning them. I mean, it's okay. Don't try to change the kid you have. Love the one that you don't try to change the kid you got. Love the one you have and help them grow their gifts. So I am really excited to keep watching your journey, Jordan. I'm going to get a TikTok account now. Thank you. All right. It was nice to meet you. Thank you for your time.
You got it. My pleasure.
Right.
Thank you.
Take care.